Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
they must be beautiful.
Aww.
That's what I said. She was really pretty, and she reminded me of Shell, and she's like singing the Love Boat. And they're clearly going after Gen X.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody is. The more that I've been reading in terms of why Gen X is like the media darling, is we're aging into a demographic that nobody used to care about.
Correct.
Right? Where it was the 18 to 40, then it was the 18 to. The demographics are shifting. We are basically the last. And it's funny because Gen X was never really marketable. We were really a hard group to market to. As soon as somebody notices us, we do this thing where we really don't like being seen. Yeah, I could have something that I absolutely love, and the minute you try to sell it to me, I don't want it anymore.
Mhm.
But Gen Z, millennials even, are very, very different creatures in terms of the old marketing model. We're the last of them. And arguably, we're the only people scary enough with money left beyond the boomers. Everybody else is tapped, whereas we have adult money to spend.
A little.
Some of us. A little.
A little.
I also think that there is I keep saying this too, and I hear it from the younger generations that there's something about 80s pop culture. And I keep going back to the fact that it was the last decade of pop culture where it didn't feel manufactured. And that says something. And now you're starting to see, they're talking about, I've said this before too, but they're talking about going back to practical effects. Like they're talking about the Amazon's taking over the Bond franchise now, which I don't know if it's going to be good or bad, but they are talking about going back to practical effects with the Bond movies, which will make a huge difference.
The other thing is, have you heard the theory, the crazy little theory that's going out there that the timeline, everything ended in 1988? And that's the reason for the Mandela effect, that there was this catastrophic thing that happened in 88 that shattered the timeline, that will forever have 80s be the touchstone of existence that we all look back to.
I like it.
I'm good with it.
I heard a conspiracy theory the other day about a freckle on your left arm, that everybody born between like 1970 and 1970. Yeah, right there. I got one. You can't see it with my tattoos, but it's exactly in this spot that's like right there. That everybody born between 19.
Okay, yours is in a different place, but
on your left arm, Chris, like it should be right on your forearm, right here. That if you were born between like 1969, and like 1979, right there. That everybody has that mark. Yeah,
that's insane.
It's the mark of the beast, because we are beasts when it comes to Gen X.
Absolutely.
So that and the smallpox scar, or whatever that scar is.
Yeah.
So first of all, I do want to say quick hello to our live studio audience, our virtually live studio audience. It's filling up very quickly today. See Johnny and Wirehead and Life and Michelle and Marie and Doreen, Jody, Kristen, Sugar, Gen X, what's going on? John's in the house, JTR, Tracy. Yeah, filled up fast today. And those asking, we have not yet revealed the topics, but they are on deck.
Yes.
But a little bit of housekeeping. I guess we do want to welcome you all to today's episode of the ThreeView Mirror. We apologize for getting started a little late, but as they say, better late than never. This is the ThreeView Mirror podcast talk show, where we get together every single week at Friday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. If you're watching this on a replay and want to be part of our virtually live studio audience, just be here. Most Fridays, 5:30 p.m. Eastern time, and you can join into our chat room and help us play the game. And what is that game, you might ask? It's a game that we play every week. We get together, and one of the three of us takes on the hosting duties and comes up with three different topics that generally stem from the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. And the cool thing about the premise is that there's a hidden message, hidden connection between those three topics that we try to figure out as the hour progresses. My name is John Katrides. I am better known as Gen X Jono on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, and here at home on YouTube. And I'm joined with two good friends. Chris?
Chris Clues, keynote speaker and author. I focus on the life and work lessons that we can learn from 80s pop culture. So if your organization's looking for a keynote speaker, I'm the guy. And I have my books are on Amazon as well. And for those of you that were asking about the shirt, I got this on Redbubble. I saw a couple of you mention the Hong Kong Phooey shirt, #1 super guy on Redbubble.
And we're also joined by today's host, Shell.
I'm Rochelle O'Black. People call me Shell or Gen X Shell, and I am in charge of the topics today. And just to give you fair warning, I thought I was in charge of the topics last week, so there's a little bit of a Valentine's Day thing going on with the topics. I didn't want to change them because I was super happy with them. So we're gonna do like Valentine kinda 2.0.
And you're a girl, so of course you want to talk about Valentine's Day.
I hate Valentine's Day. I'll be
All right,
honest.
y'all, welcome to the ThreeView Mirror. All right, Michelle, the floor, or Rochelle, I don't know where that came from. The floor is yours.
Okay. All right. The 3 topics for today, and I know we've mentioned this one before. I don't think it was an actual topic, are the best little whorehouse in Texas, Whitney Houston, and the best love songs that you've put on a mixtape for someone in your past.
Well, we already know it's going to be Beaches for Wind Beneath My Wings, John, but you know.
Of course. So, yeah, your love song mixtape.
Chris, your hat's already getting attention, by the way. Boozy Life says Chris's hat looks brand new.
Oh, really? Yeah, I went actually back in time. I got in my time machine and went back to a Blockbuster to like 1991 and grabbed one.
Well, dude, I to be fair, I'm pretty sure I could go on Amazon or Redbubble or anywhere else and get a hat that looks just like it tomorrow. So it could be new.
Well, mine's authentic because I did get it at the last Blockbuster on Earth in Bend, Oregon.
Nice.
So I visited there and I brought some stuff with me. I had to.
Oh,
you know what else should bend?
What?
I said, do you know what else should bend?
The brim
of that hat.
The brim, yes. I was thinking that myself.
If I could make it straighter, there we go.
I was looking at John's like complete you there, and
this is like the little, stupid little biker hats, right?
Oh man,
well, that's like every pitcher in Major League Baseball right now. I don't get it, but anyway.
Sadness in the form of a hat. But all right, Shell, you can take it on. I just had to mention it because Chris knows. I just want to anyway.
All right, so we'll start out today. Again, the topics are best little whorehouse in Texas, Whitney Houston, and the greatest love songs you ever put on a mixtape.
All right.
Valentine's.
And as always, please save your guesses, as Wirehead reminds us, till the end.
Yes.
Right.
And I will tell you, it is not life. That's not it. It's the red herring. I always have a red herring.
Awesome. Okay. So what are we starting with?
Best little whorehouse in Texas.
All right. Who was in it? Burt Reynolds, Dolly Parton.
Yep. Did you
Never
see
saw it?
You never saw it?
You know what? No, I take it back. This was probably late 70s.
Yeah, maybe.
No, early 82.
82,
82?
yeah.
I'll bet you I saw it. I bet you I probably only saw it in the theater, just that one time. I think I remember seeing it in the theater as an 11 or a 12-year-old. But again, I shouldn't have been there in the first place. I probably had no business seeing it, which rings true for a lot of movies we saw back then. Great little soundtrack from what I recall as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And the reason I had it on my Valentine list was because it was like the love on the wrong side of the tracks kind of a thing. And every girl out there loves a story where it's like Pretty Woman, where she's rescued by someone for, and we talked about Pretty Woman before. We've made the jokes before, like, why not save her friend? You know what I mean? Like, you got this rich guy, but hey, besides the point. But Burt Reynolds was governor or something, and he was always visiting the whorehouse. And he ended up falling in love with Dolly Parton. I don't know what her name was in the movie. And it was a musical. And
she was the madam, correct?
What's that?
Was she the madam?
Yes, she was the madam. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it had Dom DeLuise. I mean, Burt Reynolds and Dom DeLuise in the early 80s were on a roll together.
Yes.
With Cannonball Run and Best Little Whorehouse. And it also had Oh my God. Gomer Pyle. Jim Nabors was in it as well,
Yeah.
who also was a singer. I think I remember falling asleep with my TV on in the 90s when it would be just infomercials and you'd hear these commercials for Jim Nabors sings blah, blah, blah. And he was also a singer. Yeah. Yeah.
And then some people in the comments said good movie. And it was, I enjoyed it as unfortunately I watched it as a kid, I mean, we all did. I don't think this was a great runner in, like it wasn't shown on TV all the time or anything.
No.
So somehow I saw this and I saw it several times. I had to have been young because I don't remember watching it as a teenager. So yeah, probably maybe 83, 84 or something like that. I saw the movie. I might have been 10, 12 years old. And yeah, the whole theme of the movie, which I don't think those kind of things would fly today, was, yeah, it's a whorehouse. And, that
it's not just that it wouldn't fly today. It's the genre in which we saw hookers and prostitutes and whorehouses and prostitution in general was a comedic trope when we were growing up that you saw over and over again. The kids at Porky's was the whorehouse. They would want to get over there. It was, the whole concept. Look at Risky Business. With Rebecca, the trope of prostitution was huge in the 80s. And you can just name movie after movie. Some of them romantic comedies, strangely enough, some of them outright comedies, some of them more dramatic, but equal opportunity, right? Richard Gere was on both sides of it. He was both the John and the prostitute when he went from Pretty Woman to American Gigolo. So I mean, that's the thing that kills me. I can't remember. Maybe our virtually live studio audience can help me with this. I cannot remember a movie in the last 10 years where prostitution, or unless it was like like a drama that was showing how gritty and how horrible, but like making fun of prostitution or making it like this thing that it was coming of age. Every boy had to visit a prostitute to lose his virginity. I mean, that was a thing. At least in the movies. There
was also Night Shift. I mean, Night Shift was an awesome comedy about a prostitution ring being run out of a morgue with Henry Winkler and Michael Keaton. And it's one of the all-time great comedies. If you haven't seen it, put it on the list. It's incredible. And Ron Howard, Opie, of all people, directed it. I mean, It's a fantastic comedy. It's really funny. And it's those guys, they're so young, and it's so funny seeing these people, and particularly the ones that are still out there doing their thing, and seeing them when they were in their mid to late 20s. And it's pretty cool. Also, this was a musical before it was actually a movie, which was, something else. Or it was on Broadway, I think. On Broadway, just like La Cage aux Folles was on Broadway and then became The Birdcage. So that was something, I don't know how much we see that Broadway to movie now. We almost see movie to Broadway. It's almost the reverse now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, this followed not too long after Grease, which was a musical. You could argue that Saturday Night Fever had a huge musical component to it. Early 80s was kind of a resurgence of musicals in theater. And I don't think a lot of us really would have thought, as a kid, I would not have recognized that Grease was a musical. The music just seemed to flow in. It's not like they stopped and went into it, just was part of the script. So I did just see somebody say, I think it was Boozy, say that, musicals aren't my thing. I don't think that stopped a lot of people from watching movies like Grease or Best Little Whorehouse. I think they watched it without realizing necessarily that it was a musical.
And I think that makes the mark of a great musical is when it tells the story through the music. And I am no musical like expert or anything, but I'm just saying from a layman's perspective, when you can tell a story through the music and you didn't even really realize the dialogue was minimal, then you really do have something on your hands there. And, and I saw some people mentioning Broadway there too, and other shows that were on Broadway. And I just have to mention a little aside. I'm going to be going to a Broadway show for the first time in my whole life in New York on actual Broadway this summer. We just booked the tickets yesterday. So I'm super excited about it.
That's awesome. What are you going to see? Sorry.
We're going to see the Book of Mormon.
Oh, it's awesome. I saw it.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? I looked at all the different choices of movies and I was like, okay, we've got the Cats and we've got the Lion King and we've got Wicked and all these things. And I thought, you know what? I want to do something. It said it was the raunchiest comedy musical out there. And I'm like, that's straight up Gen X. I got to see that one. So
I'm not a big musical person either, but I did see that one because it was the South Park guys. And I'm like, I got to go see this.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one I saw that was really good is Rock of Ages, because it's all the 80s metal and it's really fun. So I'm not a musical guy either. I see a lot of people saying that, but that's another, suggestion. If Rock of Ages comes near you, don't think of it as a musical. Just go see it. You'll enjoy it. The same way with Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. I mean, it's back to that, Dolly Parton and Burt Reynolds. I mean, come on, two of the most iconic entertainers in American history, both in the same movie. That's awesome.
And I am a huge I love Dolly Parton. I love her charity. I love what she does for her communities, her people. Mm-hmm. I love when she does interviews and she talks to the people like she is just with you. She's not a star above everybody else. She is with you. And I love her. One of the most greatest thing she ever says, she says it takes a lot of money to look this cheap, and I thought, I love her. She's great. She did a whole entire song with her fingernails the one time. I mean, just tapping her fingernails. She's talented, coat of many colors. I mean, the soundtrack of Best Little Whorehouse was incredible. I just, and someone already mentioned the song, which was I Will Always Love You, which was, they put the song in the 82 movie, but that's of course a song from Dolly in 19. So there's our 70s connection. 1973, maybe.
Well, and I know that it wasn't just you, Life. Life apologized for jumping the gun, but a few people said, oh, there's the connection. It's nice and easy. Yeah. And I was thinking instantly, like, with the shell, it's never quite that easy.
Yeah, it's not quite that easy, no.
No. It also, the soundtrack also had Girl, You're a Woman Now, which, of course, was revived in Pulp Fiction, which is not my favorite Tarantino movie, but still really good soundtrack. Yeah. And of course, this one had a good soundtrack as well. Somebody said I was blurry. Does anybody else see that?
I do.
You do?
Yeah.
All right. While you guys are talking, I'm going to make a little change. So just keep going.
Okay.
Yeah. And you can see my chalkboard.
Wait, speaking, I can't see your chalkboard now. It says,
if I'm here and you're here, doesn't that make it our time?
That works.
You know what that is?
No.
Well, of course you don't, because you haven't seen it. Or Fast Times at Ridgemont High. It's cold.
JTR mentioned, I just put it up on the screen, movie soundtracks and scores in the 80s were amazing. Now, in order to be a musical, the people, the protagonists, the actors need to partake in the singing. But that said, a lot of our movies that weren't necessarily musicals kind of prepared us, or at least kept us open to the idea of musicals, because the music that was part of the soundtrack was featured back then so prominently in the movie. JTR mentioned Footloose. Entire songs played themselves out in entirety throughout the movie. It wasn't just a little clip. It wasn't playing on the radio in the background as he's charging through whatever that warehouse was and doing his gymnastics and stuff. From beginning to end, that song played. When he's teaching his buddy how to dance, and We Need a Hero, Let's Hear It for the Boy, and Footloose. I think all three of those songs played literally from beginning to end, and so that's kind of a musical too, although it's not Kevin Bacon singing. Your favorite movie, Chris, with Patrick Swayze and
Dirty Dancing.
Oh God,
Dirty Dancing.
No.
Patrick Swayze literally does sing in the soundtrack.
Yeah,
and again, music made it through that entire movie in its entirety.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. In fact, that movie wouldn't be as iconic, I don't think, without this soundtrack. Was ideal for that movie. Absolutely. Just like
how's it now? Better?
No.
I'm still blurry?
Yeah.
Oh. All right. Well, I'm going to go out and come back in.
Well, I'm happy. I think the hat looks much better like this, so I'm good. Movie montages are another thing Boozy brings up. I miss them. They're just
now
not
you're
a
over
thing
here.
anymore.
Does it switch for the viewer too whenever he does that?
not sure. I always move it for myself so that I know where I'm staring. I just grab the little 6s and move you guys where I like you.
Okay.
All right.
Did you put baby in the corner?
I put baby in the corner.
I did 100%.
I still don't get what your problem is with that movie, considering
I
you've
don't
never
either.
seen it.
It's so good.
I already told you, like, I have night terrors about now. I had the time of my life because it was my prom theme. I'm not
That
doing
doesn't
it.
affect
I don't
the
care.
movie.
No,
You don't
it's
get
not
there.
happening.
You don't get there till the end with that song.
It's not happening. I
Yeah.
love Patrick Swayze. I have a
You
man
can
crush on
watch
Patrick Swayze.
literally
I'm
the
not watching
entire
Dirty Dancing.
movie. You can turn it off the last minute and a half, and you'll avoid that song.
No, it's not happening.
Oh,
I'm not going to watch Dirty Dancing with my dog Bodie. All right, first of all, and that's awkward. Like me as a
It'd
like
be
a
a little
single
awkward.
dude watching Dirty Dancing.
Yeah, maybe.
There's plenty of other movies I'd rather watch.
Okay, I'll get out. You know what? Okay, score one. I'll give you that one. We're gonna let you off the hook for that one. But you know what?
I'm going to
If
set
your
him up with
girl,
some girl. I'm going to set him up with some woman whose favorite movie is Dirty Dancing, and she'll force him to watch it
No, she won't.
out of love. Out of love.
Nope. She'll
All
put
right.
that on, and I'll switch it for Red Dawn.
Dude,
We'll
it's no
watch-
wonder you're alone.
you'll switch it to Red Dawn. Is that what you said?
Yes, that's a great Patrick Swayze movie. Unlike Dirty Dancing.
It is, but there's give and take. Sometimes you have to watch anyway. Shall we move on to topic number 2?
All right. Topic number 2.
And you're
had.
not blurry anymore, Chris.
Yeah, you're not
What?
blurry. Yeah.
Okay, good.
The topic number 2 is Whitney Houston, and Whitney Houston. I had her on here. I mentioned it last week. Her album "Greatest Love of All," which is in itself could help to tie with our last section, which was your love mixtape love songs. "Greatest Love of All," the album came out February 14th. 40 years ago. And it was the anniversary of it last week. So I didn't want to let that go. I wanted to mention that again, that she, one of the greatest love albums of all time came out on Valentine's Day. And I thought
I went to put it on thinking it said corner. And then as soon as it went on, I'm like, was that? I'm not. Anyway, moving on.
So
all I'll say to Scott is the one who smelt it dealt it.
So I did a video response. I guess Gen Z is less than enamored with Whitney Houston's talent. Like a lot of younger people think she yelled all the time. She wasn't really singing. It was ridiculously loud. She was too affected in her songs. They're just not impressed. They think it's overdone. I think she has one of the greatest voices in music. I think it's a crime what happened to her, what happened to her talent. I think it's a shame. Greatest Love of All, the Bodyguard soundtrack is like a master class in lyricism and the way she's able to sing, and it's incredible. I Will Always Love You is not even the best song on that soundtrack. And yes, it's kind of a Beaches-like soundtrack. It's a lot of love songs but I don't care. It's amazing.
But I was going to say, it wasn't the Greatest Love of All that was the soundtrack for the Bodyguard. Right. Oh, okay.
No, it was the Bodyguard.
I mean, look, I like Whitney Houston. I'm not I don't know a lot about her. I know a little bit about her music. Obviously, I think she's I still think to this day, the top, maybe Jimi Hendrix is number 1 and she's number 2 in terms of the national anthem. Jimi Hendrix doing it on the guitar is pretty damn awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, she sang it at the Super Bowl, and then they actually recorded it as a single.
Yeah. I mean, phenomenal, especially with what you see today. Unfortunately, some of the anthems, and it's not an easy song to sing. I think that's the most impressive thing about it, is that not only was she a great singer, but that is when they talk to musicians and singers, they say it's one of the most difficult songs to sing, and she just seemed to do it with ease.
Yeah, I think she had.
There was the interview.
Oh, go ahead. What?
And then there was then there's Bobby Brown. So
yes.
You can't talk about Whitney Houston without talking about just how incredible it was at first that her and Bobby Brown got together, and it was it was an absolute iconic partnership. It had a lot of us scratching our heads, saying, what do these two have in common? And then they eventually did reality TV and showed us. And then to Johnny's point, the crack is cheap, crack is whack in her interview, which just the wheels on the bus completely came off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it impacted her kids too, right? Her daughter. I mean, just really bad, tragic all the way around for everything. Generationally tragic.
Yeah, because she was, and it's kind of almost a sad Hollywood story thing too, where, you see all of these young, and I don't know how old she was when she died, or how old she was when she got mixed up in all of that with Bobby Brown. And remember the allegation she was getting beat, and, there were all kind of things going on there, that this was a tumultuous relationship. But it's the sad story too. I was talking about Best Little Whorehouse in Texas with the sad story, wrong side of the tracks, and we got the rescue, but she didn't get that rescue there. She ended up falling into the Hollywood trope of, let's fall into drugs. Let's get into, the bad side of things. A codependent train wreck. Exactly. And it was a sad ending. And I don't think that Whitney Houston is one of those people that, at the time, especially you guys being men, she was a radio staple. I mean, she was a pop radio staple. You weren't out buying her album, but there's no way you didn't know a whole list of her songs. Do you know what I'm saying? Because
I still like I Want to Dance with Somebody. I still like I Want to Dance with Somebody.
Exactly.
I sing that song. I like it. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's so there's certain musicians and certain songs that I relate to the car. Like they were always on the radio. So as I'm driving at a certain age, I would have always heard them. For some reason, a lot of Whitney's music, I relate to the mall. Like it was music that seemed to be the soundtrack playing over the speakers in the mall when we were school shopping, when we were going to the movie, when we were at skating rinks. I Want to Dance with Somebody. All her stuff is just her music was a soundtrack, and every girl that ever auditioned for a school musical or a solo in choir always picked a Whitney Houston song to try to say. It was I can't tell you how many times I heard The Greatest Love of All performed by a 14-year-old girl as a solo attempt.
Yeah.
Which is a really bad choice, if you ask me, because that's it. Like, we talked about, like, whether you listen to her music constantly or not, she's one of the top voices of all time and just very natural.
I'm trying. I just looked it up here. And I'm just going to run down a list of, I Want to Dance with Somebody. I Have Nothing. I Will Always Love You. When You Believe. Run to You. Where Do Broken Hearts Go? Saving All My Love for You. A lot of these were Higher Love, You Give Good Love, Heartbreak Hotel. There were a lot of, very, how do I want to say it? Like lovey-dovey kinds of songs. And that's
inspirational songs too. A lot of them were inspirational. They were trying to inspire people to be better, which is,
and she also did anthem songs, not the least of which was the national anthem at the Super Bowl, which I know she got a little bit of grief at the time because it was revealed that she was singing along to her own track because it's very difficult to hear yourself in the large stadiums. So she wasn't necessarily lip syncing, but she was singing along to a pre-recorded rendition of the song with her. But if you see that video today, you YouTube it, she is singing her heart out right along with it. And it's still her. And she even did the one song for one of the Olympics.
She did? I don't know if I knew that one.
Oh, you will. I mean,
that's why I was looking up the list of songs, it's so emotional. I get so emotional, baby.
Don't ever do that again.
And I'm your
One
baby
moment in time.
tonight.
You know the Olympic song, One Moment in Time?
Give me
That's
one.
the one. That was the Olympic
that's her?
song. That's her.
Oh.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
So, I mean, she literally was everywhere. National anthem, Olympics. She was the female voice of a generation. Yeah. I don't think Madonna can even compare. Yeah, Madonna was part of pop culture and had hits and all that, but didn't have the same voice to back it up.
No.
Janet was absolutely an amazing performer with a lot of musical talent, but again, not the same. I don't know who you would have put in the 80s up next to Whitney Houston and said same caliber. I don't know that there was one.
Well, somebody said, I don't know who it was in the comments earlier, that said that how is it that Madonna's still alive and Whitney Houston isn't? It's very strange. Yeah, she's definitely.
Someone asked if Dionne Warwick was her aunt, and she was.
Yeah, she was. She did. I mean, I remember hearing the stories that she was a choir singer at church. And that's how she was discovered. But then you find out later that, like, well, of course it's easy to be discovered when someone goes, "Hey, my niece is over here, come over to church with me," saying, yeah.
And not just her aunt. She had an entire family.
Yeah.
John, for instance, said product of both parents in the music industry, plus her aunts, cousin, even her godmother. Yeah. Absolutely amazing coaching, great opportunity. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of people that are favored by nepotism that don't have the talent to back it up. She had the talent to back it up.
Yeah, and we were, again, talking about 80s pop culture, even into the 90s to a certain extent, but there was no auto-tune, and maybe there was some lip syncing here and there, but for the most part, people were singing. And that, to me, that's the difference. Like, there's some beautiful voices out there today. I mean, listen, Lady Gaga, incredible voice. And I think she pretty much sings live every time she's doing it. And it's amazing. But some of these voices that we hear, we're like, wow, that's a great voice. And you're like, yeah, but when you hear it live, it's like, it's not the same. Whitney Houston, you heard her live and it was the same.
It happened in the 80s. I would say Madonna was probably a studio singer, that she got some after studio help. But that was the exception, not the rule. And it was a criticism of performers back then. They would be criticized for it. Well, yeah, sounds good. We would even say it. If you'd go to a concert and came to school the next day and everyone's like, how was it? The best thing you could say about it was it sounded just like their albums. When it didn't, we criticized it. We're like, oh, nothing like absolutely not close to what their albums sound like. They suck live. Mm-hmm. And sucking live was something that would kill you. It was not a good thing.
And when my husband and I were talking about the topics, we actually were mentioning, we were saying, like, who else would maybe be equivalent to her, like, now? And we had mentioned Celine Dion. And I think Celine Dion is a massively incredible talent that also is just, she's up there. She's a crooner too. I mean, she could sing.
She could sing.
Yeah.
I just thought she was a bit like a superhero. Celine would go on stage and she'd have these costumes.
Yeah.
I'm like, she big ass Wonder Woman belt. And she was a little bit more affected in her performance and in her singing. But yeah, but that's Whitney crossed Celine was more of a vocalist. Like, the great way to put it is, remember the show on VH1? What was it? The Divas they would do?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that show, if a woman made it on that show, that meant, all right, you know what? You're not just a pop star, you're a singer.
Yes.
And they had one or two of those. And it was different. Those were people who could actually perform, who could be popular in the pop world, but had the voice to back it up.
Yeah.
And you can't say, people like Bette Midler.
Beaches.
Wind Beneath My Wing.
Well,
Adele is a good one. I like that Boozy Life.
Yeah.
A couple of people had mentioned Cyndi Lauper too, and she was great.
Yeah. Underrated. Yeah. Absolute talent. But Cyndi Lauper is the victim of her own press, of her own imaging, of her own marketing. It didn't seem like she took Cyndi Lauper seriously, so why would anybody else?
Except when she sings True Colors. Pretty good.
Yeah, no, I'm saying she has an amazing voice, but the image that she put out of just being this girl that wants to have fun diminished her talent in the eyes of a lot of people.
Well, she bopped a lot, so.
Yeah. Oh, well, who doesn't?
Yeah, how old did you have to be before you figured out what she bop actually meant?
In high school, it made its rounds.
It means the same thing as means the same thing as turning Japanese.
Exactly. And you know what though? No, I have to say this though. I learned it from TikTok. Like, I did not know this way back at the time, that what she bop actually meant. Yeah.
Turning Japanese.
Japanese.
Safety dance actually isn't.
No,
what
that
it
was about it. No, that wasn't.
Yeah, it was about an actual dance that they were doing at the time there. But I remember us thinking it had something to do with wearing protection. That was the euphemism we took from that.
Mm.
And of course, the summer of '69.
Which I did not know, and I still don't hear it, but I get the math works.
I gave you the math.
He couldn't have been around, so
yeah. You did give us the math before, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of those. And then there was, bands like Kiss where they just went for it and said the song's named "Lick It Up."
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. My husband's on there going, wait, what does it mean?
What's that? The summer of '69?
I'll explain later.
Yeah. Khan's right. Nepotism is one thing, but you still have to bring it. And that's
you do.
And the one last thing I will bring up about Whitney Houston is Bobby Brown gets a huge bad rap about being the thing that destroyed her life. Like that was the insinuation that she met up with him and he brought on the drugs and it led to her downfall. And she was a victim of the whole thing and had no blame. But from the things that have come out since and the people that know, the person who said that they were a codependent hot mess was absolutely true. Mm-hmm. They both had more than enough blame to go around, as much as we can tell from the outside looking in. But by all accounts, she was liable for her own destruction as well, which makes it maybe even sadder. I don't know.
And I thought she was beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. But I remember seeing photos of her looking, kind of like a crackhead, Yeah. I mean, skinny and unkempt and the whole bed.
No, the drugs ate her from the inside out.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a sad story. It's a sad love story, again, bringing up that whole Valentine Day 2.0 thing. So.
Johnny says Cyndi Lauper joined Henry Rollins on stage and it was bad. I can understand.
That's a weird combo.
It is a weird combo. I love weird combos though.
Yeah, but I'm a huge Henry Rollins fan. I just surprised that Cyndi Lauper was on stage with them. It's interesting.
There's some interesting comments in the comments.
It's been difficult for me to keep up with the comments. You guys are a huge part of our show. I do my level best to make sure that I try to add your comments in with our own. And please know we're reading. Pitsnipe, Husker, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Join us every Friday. We do this every Friday at 5:30 p.m. Mm-hmm. But Whitney Houston was a cautionary tale and just one of many.
Yeah.
The era we grew up in, there was it's strange. Without social media, without TikTok, without Inside Edition and hard copy brought us the news and gave us the inside story. The rags at the aisle of the supermarket, the National Enquirers would break the stories and we wouldn't believe them until you'd see the evidence of it. Mm-hmm. But there were a lot of cautionary tales in the 70s and the 80s. And it continues to this day. We saw what happened with Matthew Perry and celebrities, but I don't think it's as prevalent as it was.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Bon Scott was one in 1980, man. That was, it doesn't matter. You're right. The cautionary tale is the best way to put it. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter how much talent you have. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter the fame. If you make bad choices, it's going to catch up to you just like it would anybody else. And unfortunately, for kids, sometimes the best cautionary tales are the ones that are right out there for them. I mean, a lot of times it's the people close to you, because I think we've all probably lost people close to us from something that, we look back and say, gosh, I wish I would have maybe stepped in or tried to help, or what could I have done? Could I have done anything? I don't know. But then these kids, they'll see somebody that they admire or that they look up to, or they're like, oh, this person is, immortal in their eyes. And then boom, they're gone. And so sometimes, as sad as it is, we need these cautionary tales. Really
I think growing up as kids, where the best an administration could do for us was to tell us to say no. No real education, the best thing they could come up with to save all these young kids was to tell us hypocritically to just say no. When we saw all the adults in the world where it was snowing in the 80s, cocaine was everywhere. And yet the only thing we were told is to say no to the party. I just think it's hypocritical. I think these kind of things did a lot more to save a lot of us to keep us away from that than any program that was ever out there.
You mean like watching someone downfall
Yeah.
in public, publicly downfall. So, I guess in a way that cautionary tale ends up being could have ended up being a happy ending for someone who saw that and said, I don't want that to be me. I don't want that to be me. So, yeah.
Correct.
Yep.
All right. I can't wait to get to the next one. I mean, I'm not pushing it. I'm not hosting, but I'm chomping at the bit.
Well, we always like these. Okay, let's get to the next one. We always like these third topics where it has to be something just sort of off the wall, open discussion. And of course, it's all about mixtapes and and specifically love songs or, and not necessarily a sappy love song that you may have given a mixtape to a girlfriend. Some of those hard, a hard rock mixtape would have been maybe your love song to a girl if she was that type of girl.
That's fair.
What did you do for your, or did you ever make a mixtape for a girl? And what'd you put on the outside? Do you remember any of these things?
I do.
Okay. All right. Chris is first. Come on, Chris.
I used Everybody Run, the Homecoming Queen's Got a Gun. No, I'm just kidding. You don't know that song?
No.
I guarantee people in the comments know that song. It was she had a show, Tracy Ullman on
okay. Tracy Ullman show.
Yeah.
So,
I remember.
I remember my first kiss was The Shadows of the Night by Pat Benatar. So that was definitely on my mixtape that I sent over.
I don't think I ever made a mixtape for a girl.
No.
My mixtapes were, I didn't date. I was such a dork. You got to understand, like, I did not, if I ever did come into my own, it didn't happen until like my junior or senior year of high school. And by then I was already dating one person. So I didn't have like the usual experience of dating a lot of girls through middle school or early high school. I was a dork. There's just no other way to put it out there. I was well liked. I had friends. I just wasn't somebody that drew a lot of girls to him. So most of my mixtapes were either tapes I made to psych myself up, just like of music that I really liked that put me in a hype tub, or I want to off myself in a night because girl number 346 rejected me. So I put it in that sad tape for me. I had tapes that were just a pity party. But I'm like, all right, this is what I want to listen to right now. Or just rage music that I'm just like, I hate the world right now.
I will go on with that, John, because I was thinking that same thing too, that it could also have been tragic love songs that maybe you didn't give to somebody else. But like you said, they were these songs that just like, they purposefully made you cry. And you would just hit rewind and then you just want to cry because something was going on.
Or you wouldn't hit rewind. You would be as pathetic as I was and just have 90 minutes of the same song playing over and over and over again. And for me, that was Phil Collins, I Don't Care Anymore, on a 90-minute cassette.
Not I used to love her, but I had to kill her.
Nope, I don't care anymore. You can tell everyone I'm a darn disgrace, drag my name all over the place. I don't care anymore.
Okay, right there. I was just going to say Journey, Chicago. All of them right there were like staples.
They knew what they were doing. They made careers out of that, though.
Yes.
Air Supply made a career out of those songs.
Yeah.
REO's, they knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
Do they do that today? I don't hear those songs on the radio today. I hear our songs. I don't hear today's version of REO, Air Supply, Journey, Styx, or Chicago.
Well, REOs were always about getting cheated on, it felt like. But it's the one that was always on every one of my mixtapes. We'll see if anybody, I'm not going to sing it, but I'll throw a few lyrics out to see if anybody can guess it out there.
Okay.
Got a picture of your house and you're standing by the door. It's black and white and faded and it's looking pretty worn. Does anybody know that? I know some like kind of glam metalheads know it out there.
Sounds familiar, but without the music, it's tough.
It is tough to hear lyrics and without the tune and yeah.
Yeah, got a picture of your house. You're standing by the door. It's black and white and faded. Somebody's gonna get it there, and if they don't, I'll say which one it was. But that was on every single mixtape I had, and still to this day, I love that song. And anytime I can find it, figure out a way to get it on Pandora. Yeah, somebody got it. RATATOSKR. Yeah, Heaven. Yeah, Heaven by Warren.
Jack Wagner. All I need.
Eternal Flame. Listen, I got a story about Eternal Flame.
Oh no.
Oh yeah. Somewhere in my house, I'm seriously, but do you remember when it was like the glamour shots for karaoke where you could go and they would self-record you a tape?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So somewhere in my house is a cassette tape that I bought and thought that I was like some sort of a singer, of which anyone that knows me, even the people in the comments here have heard me sing 1 or 2 times, are going, yeah, glad you're not a singer. I sang Eternal Flame that was my first paid Glamour Shots karaoke thing, whatever they called that. Somebody
had them so they popped up in malls, those little booths.
Yeah.
You could do that. Darien Lake outside of Buffalo, I remember it was an amusement park, and they had a little booth like that. You could do it.
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
Amusement park.
Amusement park. Yeah, I'm hearing Bengals Eternal Flame as you say it.
Yeah.
That's
a good one.
But and those songs then went from it was an entire journey, no pun intended. These would be the songs that would end out our high school dances. So you would finally dance with that girl, and now that became the song that you would play for that girl when you were in the car together, and then that would be the song that you would forever be crushed by after that girl.
And a lot of the songs, like we're mentioning, I'm looking down through my list here, and
I'm gonna has your tape.
Keep on loving you.
Star to Fall.
Can't Fight This Feeling, REO Speedwagon, Crazy for You by Madonna. These all remind me of literally a middle school dance, like where everybody was like circle dancing, and all that stuff. And then the slow song would come on, and then you kind of bit your lips and stood at the back, waiting for someone to ask you to dance to a slow song where you danced like a mummy and a zombie. Like this. Remember that?
Oh, I didn't dance often, but yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, and you just
how about I Need Love by LL Cool J?
I mean, Dan Hill, JTR nailed it. Dan Hill made a career out of these sappy ass love songs. Sometimes when we touch, I never thought that I could love. Let the song last forever. All I see is your face. Unborn heart, hold me now. Love of my life. I mean, dude.
Damn.
Wait, did you see the comment my husband just put in there? Because I have that tape and I'm going to use it.
Welcome to the party, Shell. I just put it up and said that.
Welcome to the party, pal.
I missed it.
But those mixtape memories. And like I said, they weren't all sappy love songs, but to Shell's point, it wasn't enough to just put the tape, music on a tape and then throw it into a cover. You would put if you were dedicated, you would list the names, with great penmanship as much as you could muster it. The names and the order of the song would go on the outside cover. You would decorate the outside cover somehow. And we even put thought into the order of the songs. It wasn't just put any songs on. They had to flow from one into the other and seamlessly kind of continue the story. We were masters at it.
Oh, yeah,
we thought we were.
How about, this is going into the 70s, but Operator. There was Jim Croce. That's like probably one of the saddest songs ever, where he's like, Operator, will you help me place this call? And he's like reaching out because he has the number on the matchbook is old and faded, he says. And it's like, he's reaching out because it was his girlfriend who went away with his ex-best friend, Ray. It's a good one. Oh, I remember you. God, that guy can sing. You can talk about a voice.
Yeah,
Holy Sebastian Bach. Whoa.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
And then Wirehead says, always listen to the songs and then snap out the recording tab to protect it, to make sure that when we just grab a random tape because it's coming on the radio that we need, that if we accidentally grab that one, it won't work. The record won't work. But then, Wirehead, I will also say, once you break up with that girl, and that those songs become like hated memories, that's when you stuffed the recording tabs with paper or tape over the top so you could record over it.
So you could start all over again with girl number 398.
Friends, even, we always talk about Friends. Eventually, our conversations take us to the show Friends. And I love the episode where Chandler makes a mixtape for Monica, or pretends to make a mixtape for Monica, because they decide for Christmas that year or their anniversary or something, it was going to be homemade gifts. And at the end, you hear Janice singing, because it was in fact the mixtape Janice had made for Chandler. And that's one of my favorite scenes, just because, again, it's something kids watching today would be like, what the hell are they talking about? A mixtape?
Yeah.
Hell, they don't get burned CDs. Mixtape was prior to that.
Yeah.
And there's somebody earlier meant, oh, Mr. Telephone Man. Oh my God. There's something wrong with my line.
Oh, When You Close Your Eyes. I remember that one too. Yeah.
And people are even naming major metal bands, hair bands. Even they got soft in the 70s and especially in the 80s.
Well, Beth by Kiss.
Yes.
I mean,
Home Sweet Home, Motley Crue. One of my favorite songs of all time. I love that song, Home Sweet Home.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had like the ones that were like, I mean, they were almost as depressing as they were, they were about somebody, but very depressing. Like the Smiths was really good at that. And they had a song called Asleep, which is one of my favorite songs, but it is not a happy one. And it's clearly one of them got their heart broken pretty significantly. But if you like that kind of music, that's one that you should find, Asleep by the Smiths.
Do kids I think kids do make playlists for one another on Spotify now, or they'll say, they'll share their playlists. It's not the same amount of work. No. Burning CDs, I'll give you. That was a lot of work too. That might have even been more work. And I made more than a few of those. Actually, our wedding favor that we gave out to everybody at our wedding was a mixed CD that we burned for every guest at the wedding that was just love songs or happy songs that my wife and I loved. Don't know what you got till it's gone. So
oh,
it's a great one.
Yes.
Silent Lucidity. I mean, that's Queensryche, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
That was in
Queensryche.
Wait a minute. That was just in
Queensryche of them.
That was just in Cobra Kai. Silent Lucidity. Yeah.
Was it just really? Love that. I haven't heard that in so long. I'm going to go download that.
Stone in Love by Journey. Listen. Blank by Journey. Blank by
whatever by Journey.
And I will tell you what, guys, if you look up Air Supply today, if you look up the two guys from Air Supply today, and I mean this just with all I don't mean this to be mean, but it looks like a couple of women from Vermont that would be selling used furniture somewhere.
Really?
They've not aged well.
Well, they got to be in their late 70s, right?
It's not that. It's not like that they look like 70-year-old former rockers or singers or men even.
Kind of like the Goo Goo Dolls.
Yeah, they just aged wrong.
Did somebody
love that the entire chat is not stopping? It's over and over with song. That doesn't exist anymore. I would challenge anyone under the age of 30 to say that they cannot do this. And if they did, it's still our music that they're naming.
Did anybody mention
permeated all of pop culture? They were the montage scene in the movies. They were the long distance dedication on Casey Kasem's show. They were the songs we dedicated to our girlfriends and boyfriends on the local radio station. They were our mixtapes. This doesn't exist anymore.
Did anybody mention Hungry Eyes?
That's just not fair, Chris, because you're not allowed to say that because that's dirty dancing.
Yeah, but it's. I mean, I know it, but I just.
You're not allowed. You haven't seen the movie. Buddy. You may mention it. I'm going to put it. No, we gave you a pass on the. I won't watch it with Brody alone, but I'm not giving you a pass. You're not allowed. Bodie. Sorry, I meant to say that. Just like you called me.
In an episode where I called Michelle. Yeah,
that's true.
Brody is the word.
That's true.
Bodie boy. I know it's Bodie boy. Yeah.
Michael just mentioned Leonard Skinner, which I just have a video that went out last week. I showed a bunch of kids names of bands, and Leonard Skinner was one, and they read that as Lanyard Skinyard.
Oh my God. Well, listen. I can't blame them. That is not an easy. Led Zeppelin. The story goes that they named themselves LED instead of LEAD because they didn't want Americans to say Lead Zeppelin. So I don't blame them on that one. And did you guys make any like breakup like mixtapes just for spite? Because I did, and I would always have Orange Juice Jones, The Rain. If you remember that one, I saw you and him walking in the rain.
Yes, yes.
Trying to get a nut.
Yeah. Well, the breakup. Like he said, there was the angry mixtape. There was the love mixtape. There's the I want to cry, the rage mixtape. We're talking about genres of mixtapes here. We were talking about soundtracks earlier, but now we're talking about genre, like the soundtrack of your life.
Yes,
was on a
we
mixtape.
curated our own soundtrack.
Yes, it was the mood of your life was sitting right there, categorized in your little whatever kind of a cassette holder that you had.
And to this day, like Sting will still bring up like wedding songs and mixtapes and songs that people play, and he laughs because Every Breath You Take, he admits, was a stalker.
It's a stalker
song. Is literally about somebody stalking a woman, and he goes, I find it hilarious that people put it on mixtapes out of love, or worse yet, they dance to it as their wedding song.
And do you remember though, like if you weren't the mixtape type, or you were up, I just saw somebody else online do this as a video, where you were up late at night, and then they had not the Columbia House, the ones where you could buy, from the Time Life, there was the world's greatest love songs, and they were always sitting by a fireside. they were always
fireplace as you started to say that.
Yes, they were sitting by a fireplace. There was the greatest
on a bare carpet, on a
bare, yes,
carpet, yeah.
And there was a soft glowing light behind them, and little twinkles coming on. Yeah, it was all like that.
Somebody just mentioned Nothing's Gonna Change My Love for You by Glenn Medeiros, which I would not have known was Glenn Medeiros, except for I just posted. Somehow it came up on my newsfeed, and he's basically a middle school principal now at 52 years old. And when that song came out, he was a 16-year-old teen beat, tiger beat pinup boy. And the dichotomy of the change in him from 16 to 52 is amazing. He doesn't look bad. He just looks like a 52-year-old middle school principal. And the joke I made is, this is the guy that used to be on your wall, and nothing would have changed his love for you.
Doreen mentioned All Cried Out by Lisa. That was on my, I want like my breakup tape. Yeah.
Sister Christian.
Sister Christian. What was Sister Christian about?
What do you mean?
Is it about his sister who's going through a tough time? I could never quite. And that was my first concert, by the way, was that tour.
I don't know the history of that song.
I've tried to figure it out. That one escapes me. I don't think it's a girlfriend song. It might be kind of like the Folgers commercial with the brother and sister, just an inappropriate relationship.
Or in Friends, like the one guy that had the relationship with his sister that whatever.
Oh, yeah, that one too. I was thinking Ross with his cousin.
Oh, that was funny. Denise Richards. Yeah.
Yep.
So if you could come out, if you had to only pick, you can only pick like one song to put on this like mixtape. It could be one song. So it's not a mixtape. It's just a cassette single. And you're like, that's the one that I would say, like, I'd put it on there and it's the best one of the bunch.
Wait, you guys say it right. It's a casingle.
Casingle.
A casingle. Why did we buy
a security thing on it that was like this big, so you couldn't take it out of the store?
Exactly. Yeah. So you're asking us if we could pick one. Yeah,
if you could throw one of these, like whatever love songs on.
Paradise by Dashboard Light.
Okay.
Well, mine's easy. Wind Beneath My Wings. No, seriously, it would probably be Say Anything Still Sticks With Me. So I'm going with In Your Eyes.
Yeah.
Mine, honestly, is because we were on the love theme here. It's I Will Always Love You, the Dolly Parton version.
Okay. Yeah, I had In Your Eyes too, but I'll go with Heaven, Warren. I still just think it's just such a cool song.
Well, once again, the third topic crushed, and I think we could go on forever, but we are literally at 59 minutes and 34 seconds of what is typically a 1 hour show. And I say typically because that's the guideline. It's not a rule.
Mm-hmm. All right. So
you got more?
No, take it away, boys. Our three topics were the best little whorehouse in Texas, Whitney Houston, and the love songs that you put on your mixtapes.
So to throw out the obvious, and it's already come up and people have mentioned it, the red herring, the thing that we all would think would be the connection would be the song from the Bodyguard soundtrack, I Will Always Love You, because it was featured in the musical for Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. It was covered by Whitney Houston, and it ended up on a lot of mixtapes. But that is
not it, but because it did end up on a lot of mixtapes. That was my red herring. Yes, absolutely.
So now we're back to trying to figure out whatever Rochelle could have meant.
I threw some hints out there.
Oh, sweetie, your hints. Guys, what do you think Rochelle could have been thinking? Ode to Tipper Gore and Darling Nikki were my favorites. The Eagles, I Will Always Love You. Just some favorites, I think, coming up and answering to our last question.
Somebody did mention John in the comments. The most appropriate song for any Gen Xers mixtape would have to be Eddie Money's I Want to Go Back.
Oh, dude, I've used that so many times.
Yes.
So many times.
That's a great pull.
Although, if you haven't heard it, there's also a couple really good ones. 19-something. Have you heard that one?
Mm-mm.
Oh, look it up. 19-something basically starts with like the 70s and goes into the 80s and is just a 70s and 80s anthem of things that happened. Amazing. And then there's one other one that always comes up, but I'm not thinking of it at the moment. Something that just happens on her block. Yeah, that could be the answer, Boozy.
It's another Calvin Klein's.
It is not another Calvin Klein night. I just threw in a red herring there. No, and
is Calvin Klein the connection?
No. When the children cry, White Lion. I love that one.
Yeah, that's good.
No, and it is it has, you already said it. I mean, but you talked about it, and we talked about soundtracks, and we talked about all kind of things, and you already said it. You already gave the connection. You just didn't realize you did.
Movie soundtracks.
No, that's not the connection. But like we mentioned soundtracks, we've mentioned love and star-crossed lovers and star-crossed lovers is kind of a theme there too.
Is the connection a dream you had last night?
Oh, and you already said the connection. You just don't really realize it.
Black
it's so easy. It's right there.
Alien love letters. Kristen says songs that were played in whorehouses.
Oh, come on. You mentioned it like not more than like a minute ago.
Really?
Yes.
Who, Scott? Kristen?
It's The Bodyguard. It's the actual movie, The Bodyguard.
Okay, I didn't talk about that a minute ago.
Yes, you did. You said, yes, you did. You mentioned it. We could rewind this.
An hour ago at the beginning of the podcast?
No, you said it just a few seconds ago. You did. You said it just a few seconds ago. And you said something about, well, we know it's not the song from, the movie The Bodyguard. We know it's not the song. No, it's not the song.
How does My Bodyguard fit with Best Little Whorehouse in Texas?
That's in Texas.
Because it's the song, and it was the greatest soundtrack. It is still listed. The connection of The Bodyguard, the song "I Will Always Love You," which I mentioned several times. By the way, we all mentioned several times.
Well, the song would be the connection, not the movie.
No, it's the movie because I was trying to put the movie, the two that's the red herring. See, you guys are killing me. You're just doing this to me on purpose now. You're just doing it to me on purpose.
So I get the Whitney Houston and I Will Always Love You.
Yes, I'm with you there.
And Dolly Parton, I Will Always Love You, was from the Best Little Whorehouse in Texas.
Right, but I Will Always Love You isn't the connection. The Bodyguard movie.
That music video was literally all about, her music video was all literally the movie, The Bodyguard. Star-crossed lovers, people in...
I'm getting angry. Life goes OMG, WTF again.
No.
Boozy goes, yep, only happens on hers.
No, and the mixtapes. I wanted you to mention the actual songs, the love songs. That's one of the greatest.
The Bodyguard wasn't on anybody's mixtape.
No, but the songs were.
But the songs are not the connection. You cheated again.
I did not cheat again.
If it would have been I Will Always Love You, then it would have made...
Then it would make sense.
But it would be too easy. People got that.
Then you made it too easy. And then you Rochelled it.
I hate you guys right now. I'm just so mad at you right now. I'm so mad at you right now. This is a star-crossed lover thing right now. I want to go listen to a breakup mixtape right now. That's what I'm going to do. You're
going to go listen to Limp Bizkit.
Right, then.
Go listen to Limp Bizkit drunk stuff.
No, I thought you would get it right there. I thought you would get it.
You're getting booed worse than the U.S. national anthem in Canada right now.
No, and I was gonna put Kevin Costner, but then I thought that would be too easy too.
Yeah, and correct.
It'd be too easy.
You know what's not easy?
What?
When the answer doesn't make any sense.
It does make sense. You mentioned the song. It's the song, and it's the most...
They're all turning on you.
Okay, see? James says, I get it. See?
But then Johnny says, this is what happens when there's still lead in the castle.
I ate paint chips.
Did you eat paint chips when you were a kid? That's right out of Tommy Boy.
Shell, and we all say this with love, says John. Wait. I got to go back to that. But stop it. Get help now. Crack is whack.
But if we go back, all right, so hold on. So if we go to the connection, My Bodyguard, I never saw that movie.
The Bodyguard, yeah.
I saw the original. Well, I say My Bodyguard because I remember My Bodyguard from 1980 with Chris Makepeace and Adam Baldwin. And it's an awesome
I just saw that again a couple days ago.
It's so good. So whenever I hear Bodyguard, I always think My Bodyguard, not The Bodyguard.
Oh, and see, and I also wanted to mention too that rather than the mixtape, the other thing I was gonna say was worst movies you've ever watched. Okay,
that would have worked.
Worst movies you've ever watched instead of the love song.
Really was the song from The Bodyguard. Like The Bodyguard could have been a topic if the song was. You kind of did it backwards.
Maybe.
Again.
Now, The Bodyguard.
Guys, you know the irony in this is the person responsible for the theme of our show. The person who should understand it more than anyone is the person that created the theme, who is the genius behind the ThreeView mirror. And that person is Rochelle.
I did. I came up with the whole idea. No, the Golden Razzies. Have you heard of the Golden Razzies?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, the Razzie Awards. Yeah. I didn't know if anybody knew this, but The Bodyguard is like a much beloved movie, and her soundtrack for Whitney Houston's soundtrack, again, covering the song from Best Little Whorehouse, which was an earlier song from the 70s from Dolly Parton, of course, is still considered to be like the greatest selling out soundtrack of all time. It made the movie. But the movie itself, even though it was much beloved by a lot of people, was actually nominated for like 6 or 7 Razzie Awards because at the time, people hated it. They said that Whitney Houston was a terrible actress, Kevin Costner stunk, that the two of them together stunk, and that the only thing good about the movie was the song. And and this is the MTV days too, if you remember, when the video for the Whitney Houston song would come on. All I can remember about that woman at that time, and she was beautiful. Like I said, she was a crooner, was when she had her head down and she'd come up and you saw her freaking tonsils when she said, "And I," will always love you. And again, can't sing, and the white teeth and the big giant way that she sang that song, the video and everything stands out in my mind. But it was a critical bomb at the box office, and maybe not the box office. I don't know.
She couldn't act. Kevin Costner's acting was called into question. Yeah, horrible movie.
Yeah. But I liked it. I mean, a lot of people did. I don't know. Maybe it was the song. Maybe the song did it. Because, Chris, songs make the movies, right?
They can make the movies. They used to make the movies. They used to tell a story, the soundtracks. But now, not so much.
They're superfluous now.
Yeah, no, I've said it before that soundtracks now are songs inspired by a movie, or, they'll play a minor role in the movie. It could be something as simple as it was on the car radio for a second before, or not even. Some songs are just like I said, they're not even in the movie, actually. It could be playing during the credits. Yeah. Disney movies aside, the songs or musicals, they just don't do it.
Or you don't even remember the songs in the movie because they just weren't used in the right way to make a point or an impact. Like if I go back to Fast Times at Ridgemont High, raised on the radio, and I can see Bradley Hamilton washing his car when his sister comes up with, hey, can you help me take care of something? And he's like, who are these flowers from? And, I know that I remember like every scene with the song attached to the movie, but we don't get that anymore.
Kristen says Laura Branigan still holds the number 2 longest held note on a song in Solitaire. Does that mean number 1 was the Whitney Houston's?
Really?
I have no idea.
Wasn't Laura Branigan Flashdance, or am I wrong?
No, she was Gloria.
Gloria. That's right. Thank you. Yeah. I don't know why I always got that mixed up.
A lot of people say that Dolly's song and she sang it better. I go against the curve a little bit. She sang it different. Dolly's version was a country version and Whitney's wasn't. And I don't compare the two.
I argue that Dolly's version wasn't even a country version. I argue that Dolly's version was a folk song.
Okay.
Version. Yeah. I like folk music. I think folk music is some of her early country was folk country, if you ask me.
In the irony of all ironies, this week, Chris, and most of the live studio audience get a full point, and Shell doesn't. Record Hound reminds us that it was Irene Cara who sang in Flashdance.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I always get that screwed up.
When you sit and think of these topics for long enough, the connection in your brain. So you're sitting there thinking, I'm going to make this too easy. That's how I screwed up the Calvin Klein one. Like, this is going to be too easy. This is too easy. But you have to admit, Calvin Klein, Back to the Future, it would have been good, but I screwed up the last part of it. But this one, no, I thought about this and I was like, no, this is really good. I got this.
Yeah, and that doesn't make it any better, honey.
Yeah, yes, it does.
The fact that you thought it through. No, your topic was the song.
Whatever.
It's all good though. It was a great
point. But I have to say this. I'm going to throw something really positive in here.
Yeah.
Your third topic was one of the best we've had.
Yes.
I mean, people were going nuts in the comments. We were all having fun with it. It was something everybody can get their hands around.
And that's the whole point of the entire show, is to talk about things that maybe we haven't thought about in a while, that we haven't remembered, that we can bring 3 different perspectives on. And then that third topic is just something that doesn't matter if you grew up in the backwoods of Pennsylvania, tipping cows and doing whatever it was that Michelle again, what the hell's wrong with me? Michelle was sniffing markers, or you could be Chris up in Baltimore, or me. We all lived it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And we were 3 different people too, very different as kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the great thing about growing up is that we were all 3 very different. But if we would have lived in the same little street block neighborhood, we would have had our bikes in front of each other's houses every day.
Absolutely.
And it reminds me of when Wayne's Road and he goes, game on, that would have been us, just playing out and, whatever we were doing. Yeah, I agree. Corning. Yeah, we would go corning.
Just to piss off John.
Yeah.
He's ignoring me.
I'm not even looking at you. It's like 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, but with 3 different topics. Yeah. The idea is it's really to find a way, and sometimes it's harder. I remember some of the topics we have, you really needed to know that this person did this commercial at some point or something. And it's this show, I can say, is more about the journey than it is the destination.
Yes.
It's getting there that's more important. It's discussing the three topics. That's really the hook is just the icing on the cake. And sometimes if Shell's the host, it's not even icing on the cake. It's whatever is left in the refrigerator that she forgot about, and now it needs to be tossed.
The hook is a fun part of it, but I do think it is it's kind of like our life. Our life has always been a journey, and we're not here to reach the end of it, to reach a destination. We're just here every day, discussing the past, the present, and yeah, I like it. Thank you, life. That's the whole thing. Our whole lives have been a journey, and every story that we tell.
Listen, and if we can't, and if the worst thing we do is make you laugh at us, then that's a darn good thing.
Hold on. I got told I look like Hey Ernest. Jesus.
I see it.
All right, y'all. Well, that's it for me. I'm tapped out. I'm the host next week. So I'll come up with something.
And
I'm gonna come up with something that. Do you guys want something easy or hard?
Something that connects.
I always like it hard, but I'm just
I
saying.
can usually do that.
Yeah.
I'll make sure they connect.
Something that connects. That would be a good place to start.
That would be a good place to finish. Shell always starts there. He just doesn't finish there. Neil Young saying red wine first. Ernest P. Worrell.
That's me.
That's you.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Cannot thank you guys enough. We had a pretty decent sized audience in here today as well. Lots of commentary. The show is not the same without you guys.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll see you back here again next Friday, 5:30 p.m. As always, I'll tell you next week, bring a friend. Tell somebody at work, tell somebody at home, let's see if we can grow this. I love that it's the best kept secret on the internet at the moment, but let's see if we can't change that. I appreciate you guys so much. For the rest of the week, be good, be careful, stay warm.
Yep. Stay rad, everybody.
See ya.
Good night.
Doo-doo.
Oh, yeah. Shell did it again.
I did not. It was.
Ronald goes, an actual